I just want you to be sure and you watch this video before you come to court and see me there.
We're brothers, we're happy and we're singing and we're colored. Give me a high five.
All right, cut and print. Beautiful, guys. Dynamite. That is...
This is another Black Brothers production, and right now we have a special guest on the Dirty Couch. Not born and raised, but raised in Augusta, Georgia since 8 years old.
Right.
Right now we have a special guest, Mr. Judge Bo Hunter on the Dirty Couch. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad y'all can be with me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I want you to kind of tell your accolades. Right now, I know you graduated from the University of Georgia School of Law.
That's right.
So I want you to kind of tell, what took you into that direction?
I've always been kind of fascinated with what the law means and what it is, because it's really the structure which our society operates in. And that way I wanted to know what I could do, what I couldn't do, and kind of the rules of the game. And it's kind of the rules of the game of life. That's what I figured the law is. So I became interested in that. I can tell you, when I was a kid, my dad made me draw up a contract for my allowance. I got 25 cents a week. And I drew up this contract, and I put in there that I would do anything that he asked. Well, he used that against me.
Yeah, you put everything in it.
Yeah, I got in a lot of trouble, and I was like, I need to learn to do this better than that, so I don't get in trouble. So that's kind of what I got interested in the law.
Now, you were actually a defense attorney. You were also a solicitor.
Right.
And now you're a judge. Now, how does that give you different perspectives, like when you're in court?
I think it's interesting because a lot of people come from either one or the other. And they've either been a solicitor all of their life. And the solicitor's job, or any prosecutor's job, is to protect society, but it's also to make sure that justice is done. A defense lawyer is somebody who's just looking at, they're an advocate for their client, and that's their main job, is to make sure that their client's protected and looked after in the process, and to do the best job that it can. And then the judge is up there, and he's kind of the mediator between the two of them. So it kind of forms a triangle in the courtroom, and it's very strange sitting, because you're sitting up high, and it gives you a different perspective, because these lawyers are coming and going out of the courtroom, and you're sitting there for hours at a time.
Wow, yeah.
That was something that kind of surprised me as a judge. I can remember the first time I did that, I realized I need to use the restroom. And I'm like...
You couldn't leave?
Well, it got to the point where I was going to have to leave, you know, and I said, we're going to take a recess for 10 minutes and I'll be back. And made everybody stand up and leave, and while I go out the back door and come and take care of everything and come back. And I thought, you know, as a lawyer, I was used to coming in, taking care of whatever I need to, and I could step out anytime I wanted to, and nobody really knew whether you left or not. But as a judge, everybody knows when you leave the courtroom or not.
That's something to think about.
Yeah.
Now, as far as what flack have you had at, I guess, as being a judge or being an attorney? Like, what kind of flack or what kind of bad things do people say about you all?
Oh, I think that the worst thing is that the judges don't listen. That's something that I can relate to even as an attorney. I think that always it's a balancing act.
Yeah.
And, you know, some people think they should go to jail forever. Some people don't think they should go to jail at all.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to figure out what's the right thing to do. And you're always going to have people on both sides saying that wasn't the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have to use your best judgment and what you think is going to help people.
What's some of your reasoning behind some of your sentencing?
I take longer in sentencing people,
Mm-hmm.
and they laugh because they say, you probe and you probe and you try to figure out what is the actual problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give you an example. I had a shoplifter one time who said, you know, every time I get drunk, I go shoplifting.
Mm-hmm.
So the shoplifting isn't the problem, it's the drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I ordered him as part of his sentence to attend the AA
Mm-hmm.
program, and I said, this many sessions you're going to go. Because I wanted to, at least it may not work,
Mm-hmm.
because that program depends on that person making it work.
Mm-hmm.
I can't make
That's
it,
true.
you can't make it work.
Right.
But if you expose them to them, then they might realize the benefit
May
for
make a
them.
change. Mm-hmm.
And not shoplift anymore.
Right.
And that's the goal, is to get the people to not repeat the same behavior and come back and see me. And so I try to fashion different things. Some people have mental health issues. I order them to go to their caseworkers, report to their caseworkers so many times a week to make sure their medication is being taken.
Mm-hmm.
So that, you know, once a lot of people who are on certain medications think that it's kind of like the flu. You know, you take the Tamiflu and once you're cured,
Yeah.
then you're good. And a lot of people who have mental issues, they get on their medication and then they start feeling okay and feel like they're cured,
Mm-hmm.
and get off their medication and the cycle starts again.
Now I know a big case was the Kalief Browder story. Have you ever heard about the Kalief Browder story? In New York, the guy that went to Rikers, he was a young 16-year-old, and he ended up committing suicide.
Right.
Because they prolonged it. Like, will we ever have that issue in Augusta? Or is it possible to have that type of issue where they prolong the case until he goes to court?
Yeah, and that happens a lot.
Mm.
We are moving our cases pretty effectively
Mm-hmm.
in state court now. I think the solicitor's office said I have about 150 cases that are prior to 2015.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to I just had a calendar with 179 on it for jury trials.
Wow.
If you don't put them on the calendar, then they don't get reached.
Mm.
And so I think one of the judge's job is to look and see what cases are pending,
Mm-hmm.
making sure that they're tried, because you're right. You have people who, and not even on a big scale like that, yeah,
Mhm.
but for instance, let's say you have a DUI.
Mm-hmm.
You've gone through, you get a DUI, they suspend your license administratively. Come down here, ask for a jury trial. You wait 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then you decide to plead to the charge, or it's called up on the calendar and it's disposed of. Your suspension starts over again. And you've been 2 years, but let's put it 5 or 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, your license suspension kicks in again after you've already served a year with no license.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a lot of suspended license. And one of the things cases in our court, and I'm hoping to find some kind of solution where either the public defender's office can open up somewhere, because a lot of people don't understand how to get their license back. And it's a complicated process, because I've helped my clients, and you have to call places, you have to check things, you don't understand exactly what they're telling you on how to get your license back.
Mm-hmm.
There are people I've had that I've instructed in my court where they're behind in child support. That suspends your license.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go down there and make arrangements to start paying the arrearage, they will give you a piece of paper, let you get your license.
That's
back.
true.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't even know that.
Yeah.
And I had a guy, I continued his case this week because he's been making his payments, but his license was still suspended because he didn't know that. And I said, well, did you not know you could go? He's like, no. I said, I'm going to give you time to go down there to child support recovery, get your piece of paper from them, take it out to the DMV, get your license reinstated, and we can dispose of your case.
As long as he keeps paying on it.
Right, as long as he keeps paying on that arrearage. You stop and they'll suspend it again. You know how they are.
Right.
So.
Now, another thing you were telling me about was speeding tickets. When you get speeding tickets, that's actually something you can do.
Yeah, and especially people under 21. Because, they are very strict on people under 21 with speeding tickets. But there's something that I learned about that's called a 0-point ticket. And the judge can circle or check a box on the back of the ticket that says this is a 0-point order. That means those points won't go on their record, and Atlanta won't suspend their license or stuff like that. And we've been doing a lot of things, but also it requires me to do a 20% reduction in the fine, but you also have to go to defensive driving school. But that helps with your license, and it cuts down on the fine, but then you do have to spend that towards the defensive driving. But it's a way to help people where they're either close to getting their license suspended or just because of the ticket under 21. And I talked with Judge McIntyre and Judge Watkins and Judge Booker when I got back from this conference. I said, this is something that we can do to help people, and so we've all started doing that now.
Now, with African Americans, they may say every time I go to court I gotta spend money, or this judge doesn't like me because of my race. How do you feel about those type of comments?
I feel like that's sort of like what Trump said about the Mexican Hispanic judge. I think it's important that that people feel that they are treated fairly in whatever court they're in. I think that experience and your worldview is important to make sure that people don't get that feeling. I think people who automatically assume because I'm white, then that's not fair to me. See how your experience is with me, and then you have the right to call me, make a judgment. But I think those assumptions are too much in our society on all sides, period. And I think that's what we've got to get beyond if we're going to come out of where we are right now.
How important is respect in the courtroom?
I think it's extremely important, and it is not just respect for me, and as I tell people, without my robe on like I am now, I'm just bow hunter. I'm not Judge Hunter, I'm just bow hunter. When I put that robe on, that means that I'm standing up for the rule of law but at the same time, that requires me to respect every single person in that courtroom. That means respecting the defense attorneys, that means respecting the prosecutor, the victims, and the defendants, and any of the clerks, the bailiffs. Everyone in that courtroom deserves that respect. And that means listening to people, not wasting their time, getting them in and out sufficiently, but hearing what they have to say, and taking whatever time it is that they need to express what has happened to them, or why they're like this, or what kind of problem that they have, so that you can get to the bottom of it, because these are misdemeanors. This isn't murder. This isn't kidnapping. This isn't bankruptcy. While we have some serious cases, this is a time often that people are going on down one or two paths in their lives. And if you can get them on the right path, then all of us are a lot better off. Because we're not spending money on incarceration. We're not spending money on protecting people, because these people are, and it teaches them that that if you're given respect, then you tend to give it to other people. And if we can just increase that culture of respect, then I think we're all going to be better.
I like it.
You know.
Now you're actually you were campaigning, and your daughter's actually your campaign manager.
That's right.
How does that go when you still have to be in the courtroom but you're still campaigning?
Well, during the day, like I was on the bench yesterday from 9 until about 5:15 yesterday. But I had a meeting at lunch. Then I sometimes don't get home till 9:30 or 10 at night, and my wife is very understanding, which I appreciate it. My daughter and I have a ball. We enjoy each other. As she says, she can tell me stuff other people won't tell me, and she'll just flat out tell Dad, this is it. But we each have a respect for each other. I think she's very proud of me being a judge. And I'm very proud of her because she has run a lot of campaigns. And this is something that she was offered to go work on another campaign and be paid a lot of money. And she told him, she said, you don't understand, this isn't just a campaign, this is my dad's campaign.
It's family,
Yeah, and it's family. And family is very important to us. She has 2 children, and like us, they call me Papa Bo. And my wife has been very good. She helps with keeping the records, which is a good thing, and she looks after the grandchildren, so it gives my daughters time to do stuff with me. So it works great. We just really, and we have a good time at it.
Oh yeah. And I know you said about lunch. Now, the topic in the office is Judge Bo Hunter loves to eat.
You can tell that.
So
I can't hide that.
What spots do you like? Do you like all spots, or they have to be like fancy restaurants?
Oh Lordy, no. But I like good food. I don't really go for chains very often, but I love to find out of the way spots, small spots.
So local
places. Like Solicitor. I don't know if you've been out there on Peach Orchard Road. That's got some. It just depends on what you
Name some more spots. Throw them out there.
You got. I like Red Lobster.
Red Lobster. Okay.
I have to say I do like that. I like the Sports Center for hamburgers down there. There's all kinds of places I like to go that they laugh because I go to Honey from the Rock sometimes out on Washington Road, but they laugh because I'm always looking for a new place.
New place to eat.
And if you got a suggestion, I'm willing to go. And
I gotta look some up.
And I love to find those small places, and there's some more that I could name that not many people know about, but the food is great. But I like all kinds of food.
Have you been to Humanitary?
Oh yeah.
Humanitary. I like Humanitary. I gotta
Art's a good friend of mine.
Oh, Art. Okay.
Yeah, and I've been there a long time. But see, I went there before everybody really knew about it. It's kind of once they get famous, it's kind of like, well, that's not fun anymore.
Yeah, it's the hot spot now.
Yeah, it is the hot spot. And also you don't see anybody you know. That's when I like going to these places.
That is so true.
And you can go and really visit with people and talk to people. And, nobody really knows who you are. I mean, it's not like I'm some famous, Will Smith or somebody that everybody say, oh, I know him. No, I'm kind of, and I'm not wearing a robe. It's kind of like.
You're just a regular person.
Yeah, like Bruce Wayne without wearing the Batman outfit. So I can go out there and eat and enjoy people.
Now, the last thing I want to touch on is this the shooting. I know a lot of people. I think this has been in the this has been the talk about shootings and gun control. What is your stance on gun control? Should we take away the guns? Should we be able to keep our what's that, Second Amendment, the right to bear arms?
Okay. First of all, you have to understand, and we go over this a lot. Judges are not the legislature, and we are not supposed to take political opinions on issues like that, because that case may come up
that's true.
in front of me. And whether I have an opinion on that, it goes back to that respect and fairness. And we have to be fair. And one of the things is, for instance, for DUI, I mean, we could talk about levels this, levels that, but that would mean I have an opinion before they came before me. There's a new case out that says that deep lung air in your lungs is now a protected right that you have, and that means that you have a right to non-self-incrimination in whether to blow or not. So that's a new issue for us judges on DUIs, of if somebody refuses to blow, are they exercising their constitutional right? Now, I can't tell you what the legislature does. We just deal with the cases that come and whether we know that that right is protected, and what's the legislature going to do about it. So that's kind of, those political questions are not good for judges, because then we're seen as biased. And then you come back, not only just the white-black thing, or African American, it's like, well, they're prejudiced against these kind of people, or people who are gun owners. And like I said, it's very important to have that perception of fairness and respect.
Now, social media blew up the shootings and things. I know that was the first time I seen or even heard about the shooting was on social media.
Right.
Another issue was the guy at Butler that whipped the guy. How does social media play a part in the courtroom? Do you actually watch the stuff on Facebook and it goes to the courtroom? How does that work?
No, what happens is, and this, I think, especially younger people don't realize that, like, if they Snapchat something and they think that it instantly goes away, well, somebody takes a picture of it and then it's there forever. And so often we have people bring stuff into the court and say, look at this.
Off of social media.
Or he said this, that he loves to drink, he drinks 20 beers every day, or, something about beating somebody, or, and you see a lot of stuff that comes off of social media, and I just think people need to be aware. I've seen that in divorce cases when I was a lawyer. The husband's girlfriend would put a picture of them up on the beach somewhere, and the next thing the wife's seen it. And it goes downhill from there, And people don't realize that all of this is out there and stays out there for a long period of time, and other people can capture it and can use it against you. So I think that's something that, as we've gotten into this era with this, that we just need to be aware of and think about before we just do something on the spur of the moment.
Now, if it was anything that you can tell to the people of Augusta, what would you say to the people, especially our generation, the millennials? What would you tell them? Or what kind of advice you would give them? Especially if they come to your courtroom.
Okay. One thing is, I think you need to be aware of your rights. I think too often people think they know what those rights are, but they don't necessarily. There's a lot of complicated things that go on. For instance, like I just said about the deep breath air, that people don't know about. For a while, Richmond County, they were doing blood draws and taking people to the hospital, tying them down and drawing their blood. I will not allow any of that evidence in my courtroom. But some people may not know about that issue and not do that. I think we have an excellent public defender's office here. I've known Kate for a long time who runs it. I can tell you the attorneys in my courtroom are great. Take advantage of those when you can. They can advise you of stuff that you may not know about. I think, though, overall advice that I would give is that each person has so much potential. And I think you need to think about yourself in those terms, that you can go anywhere and be any person that you want to be. But you have to do it. And that means you've got to respect yourself. You've got to respect other people. And understand the institutions around you that can either help you or hinder you, and use those to your advantage and reach the potential that you can reach. Because you see a lot of people who do that. And y'all are good examples of that.
Oh, man.
So, if everybody would do like y'all and think of how they can reach that potential.
Absolutely.
So that's my message.
Okay. Well, I hope y'all took that message. Again, this is another Black Brothers production. We have our special guest. Thank you so much, Judge Bo Hunter, y'all. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Judge Bo Hunter of the State Court of Richmond County. I'm sitting here on the dirty couch, and this has been something because they've been scared that because of the way I sit that I might have come through the couch, but it didn't happen. I've enjoyed the show.